Good evening and welcome to the Cleveland Community Police Commission's first outreach committee of 2025. It's a brand new committee. We have all new members. Thank you for being here. This meeting will run from 6:02 p.m. to about 8 o'clock unless business concludes earlier. I'm going to call this meeting to order. As of right now, because this is a new committee, we don't currently have a chair. So right now it's time to select a chair pro tem to run this meeting. Is there a motion?
I nominate co-chair. Diane, thank you for pre-tem.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or debate? Okay, let's call for the vote. Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Kincaid? Aye. Okay, thank you for that. So I will run the meeting tonight. Thank you very much. We're going to move forward to a roll call attendance. Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Mason?
Here.
Commissioner Kincaid?
Here.
Thank you. Everyone is present. We're going to move forward on the agenda for the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
A second to adopt the agenda.
Okay. Is there any discussion, debate, or anything that you guys want to add? Okay. And later on, I just want you guys to know, as we discuss things and you hear the presentation, once we get to new business, if there's anything that you want to discuss, you can bring that up then. Okay. So we're going to go for the call the vote to adopt the agenda. Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Kincaid?
Aye.
Okay, so that is adopted. So I want to read this statement as a part of our meeting decorum. This meeting of the Cleveland Community Police Commission is a lawful meeting. Under section 605.04 of the codified ordinance, no person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak in accordance with the public meeting rules. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn and or making loud utterances or interference with the due conduct of this lawful meeting, may constitute as a misdemeanor and a violation of section 605.04. If this meeting is disrupted, I will call for a recess and clear the room. Persons who violated the city ordinance and commit misdemeanors may be subject to prosecution. When this body is able to return from recess, then in compliance with the ordinance with Ohio Open Meetings Act and section 101.021 of the codified ordinance, the meeting will be open to the public. We're going to move forward to the public comment section. The first person listed is Lou.
Thank you.
Please, Lou, can you please stand near the easel? Right there.
The chair?
The easel.
Right there. Yeah, right there.
Thank you very much. You can stand in front of it, that's fine.
Oh.
Yeah.
It will not fall on me.
No, it won't.
I'm sure you know. Anything can happen to short people. All right, good evening, everybody. Very happy to attend the first outreach meeting of CCPC this year, because we have not been reached out for a long time. So I would like to remind the people here and also the people watching online. Even though some of the commissioners' eligibility may be in questions, but I believe the current people at the table, they all have a heart trying to do a good job for the community. So one thing I would like to remind all the commissioners here that originally we want to redesign the survey to make that friendlier for community members to fill out. But since outreach committee did not meet for a long time, unsure where the progress really is. So hopefully, we can have this particular version finalized properly for the for the community this year, so we can actually start using it and see if it really works. Or we may still have the previous version to use. I fill that survey every year, you know. So I really wish that we can keep on going, collecting meaningful data, not just for the sake of having the data. And this was originally the reason why people thought the survey should be updated, make that more community members friendly to begin with. But we do not want to lose the detail either, you know, because lots of time we know devils are in the details. And so no matter you are all eligible to be commissioner or not, if you can really get a good job done, we still applaud for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move forward to the next person on the list, Sabrina Otis.
Good evening. Since we're talking about district policing committees, I have a lot to say about this particular area. But first and foremost, I'm bothered that the committees, because there's 5 of them, that they're oversaw by so many people, so many different agencies, that then when you go to them and you're looking for assistance, guidance, mediation, nobody wants to do the work. Everybody wants to be a part of it, but not really a part of it. Everybody wants to feel like they're in charge, but not really be in charge. And it's an issue. The policing committees are for the community, and everybody else should be a tag along, just like the residents. It shouldn't be that these shouldn't be allowed to oversee. For instance, we have the CPC is involved, we have the consent decree is involved, we have the accountability team is involved, we have the City of Cleveland's community relations, they're involved. We have, I guess the districts are involved. Okay, so I get it, the districts, it is, they should be a part of it. But I need everybody to read what it says. It's the communities policing committee meetings. They're not everybody else, everyone who's paid. And I think that's my bigger issue. We have a lot of people that are paid, but the people who are volunteering to do the work, we have to go through everyone that's getting paid. We don't get anything done. We have to do a lot of arguing and showing up and asking, and everything we suggest is shut down because, again, everyone that's paid, all those entities that are paid have a say, and it's uncomfortable for them. They don't want to do it. Again, these are meetings for the community. And as community members, we know what we would like to see in our community. We know well more than everybody else that's paid to do it. When you're paid to do it, you do an okay job. But when you're doing it for free, you're going out of your way to make it work. I'm hoping that with your committee, you're able to work with us because something's got to change. Either the community is able to have a lot of say in what they would like to see in their community, or you then pay the volunteers. And then we'll shut up and we'll sit there. We'll just do whatever you guys and every one of those entities say that we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? Okay, with that, we're going to move on. So I'm going to give an outreach committee overview. Excuse me. I'm going to give an outreach committee overview. So this will cover our past work and future priorities under the consent decree and discuss some of our responsibilities. So in regards to our past work, the outreach committee of the Cleveland Community Police Commission has actively pursued initiatives aligned with the goals of the consent decree, specifically paragraphs 17 through 22 and related sections of the community engagement and building trust efforts. So number one, We worked on a community engagement strategy. We started the process of creating a community engagement strategy. This was contributed to by the staff of the CPC. And it's just basically a guide on how the commission builds public trust and gathers community input in the policing process. We also began discussions on police recruitment and outreach. We participated in outreach initiatives supporting equitable police recruitment in line with the consent decree's emphasis on diversity and cultural competencies. We still have a lot to work to do in that area. But one of the things that we really did a lot of work around and actually was successful on starting was the CPC's annual survey. So this will support the development of this work that we did supported the development of the CPC's annual survey on community police interactions to assess public perceptions of the Cleveland Division of Police. So on July 23rd of 2023, the Outreach Committee voted to create a dedicated survey work group. In this work group, we worked on creating the process for engaging in this survey in November of 2023. So our last meeting was October of 2023, but we did not, contrary to popular belief, we did not stop the work of the committee. We continued to work behind the scenes to get this survey going. So in November of 2023, the Outreach Committee voted to move forward with the process. And in December of 2023, the full committee voted to encumber $30,000 to move forward with the survey. In June of 2024, RFQ was sent out. We didn't have any responses, so it has been a slow process to try to find some type of company to help us with this. Our current status is the senior policy analyst, Walker. He did work with a former commissioner to identify a company that would possibly be willing to work with us and do the job. At this point, we may have to go through the RFQ process again. So we just need to kind of discuss that. And we do know that the monitoring team and the PAC team has requested a meeting with us back in February, but it was canceled. So we need to work to get that meeting scheduled again to see how we can move forward with continuing this survey. So I'm thinking that maybe that's something we can discuss in new business is what maybe starting a new work group to move the survey forward. So our current status, the survey initiative remains stalled. A planned meeting with the monitoring team and police accountability team was canceled, and we need to reschedule that. Policy analyst Walker is maybe a point person that we can work with, and also Samantha, our outreach person. Let's see. And then next steps to align with the consent decree. To fulfill its mandate under the consent decree, the outreach committee must advance this survey, which they talk about that in section 17C. We need to make an emphasis to drive the importance of community feedback in policing, and that's through the survey. The survey is a vital tool in gathering resident input and evaluating the CPD's performance and bias-free policing and community engagement. We need to promote public transparency, so outreach must continue to facilitate public dialogue and transparency, especially through public meetings, survey results, and educational initiatives. We need to strengthen our local partnerships, so the CPC should support efforts in recruiting members to the force, but also recruiting people to work with our district policing committees and work jointly with CPD and the Community Relations Board to build a broad-based partnership across all neighborhoods. And we also need to continue to work with the monitoring team and report our engagement. So outreach should support tracking the engagement of officers and advocating for annual reporting to ensure information reaches the public through accessibility. So that is a brief overview. Next, we're going to hear an overview of the regarding the district policing committees and the consent decree importance from Samantha Montanez.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys can hear me. So as Sharina said, my name is Samantha Montanez. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for the CPC. This presentation is talking about our district policing committees. If you're unfamiliar with them, they are also known as DPCs. They've also been referred to as the community relations meetings before they were changed over. And so each district has one, and so we're going to go through it. Also, for the commissioners, through the chair, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to just stop me. I do have time at the end for questions, though, so. But if you want me to explain something more, just let me know. And then everyone should have a copy of the presentation in front of them. If you do not, I have it up here. So I'm just going to give an overview about the DPCs, kind of give you some background with the consent decree, give you some more background from CDP standpoint, the current structures, consent decree importance when it comes to CPC's responsibilities, some observations the CPC has made from it in a report that they put out back in 2021, and then just some next steps that I think would be important for us and how we should engage moving forward. So this first slide is just an overview about the district policing committees. So there's 5 total, of course, 1 in each district. They're co-chaired by a community member and 1 officer of that district. Usually it's the commander in each district. The main goal is to encourage regular communications between the CDP and community members. It's of course open to all community members, and they typically host monthly meetings. However, per the consent decree, they're required to meet quarterly, at least quarterly, but most meet monthly. This little blurb down here is just the basic overview that you can find in the Citizens Guide to the Cleveland Consent Decree, which I definitely recommend everyone read. It gives you a breakdown instead of reading all hundreds of paragraphs of the consent decree. This really helps boil it down, and it talks about that. So just to give some basic background, the consent decree, if you look at paragraphs 23 through 26, this really outlines the district policing committees, and kind of, I'm going to go through each paragraph real quick and just give a basic overview. So paragraph 23 really just talks about facilitating regular communication with the community. Should meet at minimum every quarter. Again, they meet on a monthly basis. And the whole purpose and point is to have, like I said, that regular communication where, it's not just the community talking amongst each other. It's really the commission, CDP, and the community relations board should be facilitating regular conversations so that way we can work on community policing and CPOP and all those different things, right? Then paragraph 24 talks about recruitment and expansion and how the commission will work jointly with CDP and CRB to develop a mechanism to recruit and expand the membership of the DPCs, meaning, trying to help get more folks involved, get young folks involved, get folks who might not come to these meetings very often. It's up to the commission, CRB, and CDP to work together along with the DPCs to really expand the base of community members who are attending. And then also CDP will work with the commission to select officers for each DPC, meaning that it says here each DPC should also include at least 1 CDP officer from that district, and they'll work with the commission to select officers to be part of the DPCs. A lot of the officers that are involved in the DPCs, they're going to be your CEOs, so your community engagement officers. They're going to be the commanders, and then other officers who are just interested, maybe community relations officers from the Bureau of Community Relations, and stuff like that. So those are the ones who are usually pretty involved. Paragraph 25 talks about how CDP will work closely with the DPCs to identify strategies to address crime and safety in their district. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of the whole point of having the DPCs, is to address, what's going on in your community. What do you want to see? What are some things that you think could be beneficial and that you could utilize either the CEOs or other officers to help make your community safer, and also have more engagement. So kind of like an example is, because we're in the 3rd district and I also live in the 3rd district, I go there a lot. A lot of the times they'll have a section where they talk about CPOP and some of the things that Officer Calhoun is working on and some of the complaints that neighbors or community members have made. And so they address those things there, and they kind of say, hey, like, this is what we want to see from you all. We want to see you guys maybe, this light's out, and when that light is out, there's a lot more drug trafficking happening on this corner. We want to see this light come out and get fixed. And we also want maybe more presence of you guys in this area during a certain time of night or during the day. And so that's where this space facilitates those conversations. But it's more than just drug trafficking or anything like that. It's also about just safety in general, right? Like it's just, we want to see you guys come to more of our events. We want to see officers be more present at our events, or we want to see, we want to do something more for the community and engage them so that we can build a safer community. And it's building it alongside with officers, the CPC, CRB, and all those other entities. And then paragraph 26 talks about how annually each DPC will present their identified strategies, concerns, and recommendations to the commission. At the same time, a member officer, typically the commander, will present alongside to address those barriers to implementing those strategies and concerns and recommendations to the commission. So we had this event back in January. We did this presentation. All 5 districts presented. And essentially, each commander presented and they discussed some of the concern areas that residents had and some of the strategies that they were doing to rectify those issues or address those concerns. And then they also talked about a lot of the things that they did do throughout the year, such as coffee with a cop, or they would go on neighborhood walks. They were, having community conversations, stuff like that, and giving the statistics around how engaged their officers were. So that has to happen annually per the consent decree. Like that is something that needs to be fulfilled. So that is also something very, very, very important. And when we continue to do that, that gets us moving and keeping moving into compliance. That was a lot. Does anyone have any questions for me right now?
When are those meetings typically held?
Yes, great question. So those meetings are typically held once a month, and I have a schedule that I'm going to email out to you guys. It was a lot of paper, but typically first district is like the first Thursday, second district is the second Tuesday. They're usually a Tuesday, Thursday, or a Wednesday. Unfortunately, fourth district does fall on the fourth Wednesday of every month, which is the same as the full commission meeting. So I'll be rotating in and out to make sure that CPC has some presence there, especially in the fourth district and in the districts that we're not getting into as much as we should be. So, you have a question?
I do.
Can the community ask questions right now?
Not at the moment. We're gonna have questions from the commissioners first.
Is there no way that we can make adjustments to that schedule for the fourth district so that if we wanted to, we could be present? Because right now it eliminates our ability to be present.
So I think theoretically with what the consent decree lies out, I think that there could always be room for something to change. However, that would be a conversation that would probably need to be had with the co-chairs, the commander, and maybe the community relations, the district rep, just because they typically have them those days, and that's what the community is used to. That's what, I mean, they've been doing this for
So it would be
years.
a little too involved.
It might be too involved, but I don't see the issue of having a conversation. But it's usually when they are.
But they are recorded, correct?
So those are not recorded meetings. So those are kind of, you have to be there in person to kind of know what's going on. Which is why I'm saying, on the days in which maybe commissioners can't go, because I will stress it that you all should be present at those meetings, not just myself, and especially in the district that you live in. The days in which you can't go, say we have a full commission meeting, or say there's something else happening, but my presence might not necessarily be needed at what the CPC is doing, then I will go in place of and attend those meetings just so that we have CPC visibility and that we're in the community and they know that we're there. So.
And you don't mind reporting back that information that you learned?
Not at all. Not at all. 6 to 7:30. 6 to 7, yeah. And then usually while at those meetings, and I could talk more about it a little bit later when I talk about the recommendations of what I think we should do, they present at those meetings, and typically I get up and I speak on our behalf, let people know what's going on, what we have going on, when our next meetings are, and stuff like that. And then I answer questions from the community if they have any questions about the CPC. If there's something I can never answer, I take it down and I bring it back and give it to the right people who can answer those questions. So, yes, ma'am.
And the location of the meetings, are they usually in the same location?
So yes, through the chair. It's dependent upon the district. So some districts, they stay at the same location. I know 5th district, they had just announced that they're wanting to move more around in the 5th district. So not being always on 150th, they might want to go somewhere maybe down more closer to the food bank or something like that, right? I know second district, they used to be at Church or Bridge Clee, which was on Fulton. They moved down the street to One Hope NEO, which is still on Fulton, but they're in a different location. So it just really depends upon the district and where the co-chairs and the community relations folks, where they wish to see the meeting at. Because I know a lot of those, a lot of the DPCs, they are trying to get more folks to come out. And so they are having thoughts of rotating meeting locations around their district and in their neighborhoods.
And for the chair,
Mm-hmm.
if we're unable to attend the meeting, could you let us know who the chairperson is? of the
Absolutely.
district
Mm-hmm.
And the location
Mhm.
and the date,
Absolutely.
and then maybe we could switch out.
Yes.
That's what I was about to get
So-
to. I was gonna say, because everyone's so busy themselves, maybe we can, maybe because of my district, I could attend to one in my district, maybe you could attend to one here, and we can all just report back
Mhm.
and go from there. And then, I mean, district that's not represented, maybe someone can pick that up.
Absolutely. So that would be the goal, especially for outreach committees. The goal is to have you all be present. And of course, I would encourage other commissioners that are not on outreach to make sure that they attend in their district as well. I mean, the more folks that attend are better, and bring a friend with you, right? So if no other questions on that, I will move on to the next slide. So this is just some more background for you all, talking about the Cleveland Division of Police's Community Engagement Plan. There are two documents that I'm going to also send to you all. This is their CPOP plan that they reported out in, they put out in 2019. This addresses the CPOP laid out by the Division of Police. Specifically, it addresses the use of DPCs as tools to get feedback on policies and practices, the use of meetings and events to engage, social media strategies, officer wellness, and the rebranding of the Bureau of Policing. I specifically pointed out on the next slide, this section D on page 31, which talks more about the DPCs and how the Division of Police is recognizing them and how they're utilizing them. So in addition to the monthly meeting, the DPCs from the division's standpoint should do the following: promote block and street club development, partner with the prosecutor's office to provide court watches, identify, assess, and collaboratively solve problems. They'll also use these sessions to elicit input on the division's policies and procedures. And then they also put out in 2019 the District Policing Committee strategy. I will send that document over to you all as well in an email, so you can read through it. And then beginning in 2019, at least once annually, they'll dedicate a session to explaining CPOP in the SARA, which would happen at the DPCs. So this is the division's plan that, like I said, that they came up with back in 2019. I just wanted to give you all some of that background so that you can kind of understand how the division has said they will utilize it and what their goals are with utilizing DPCs. So that way maybe we can align or, have the similar goals. And then the current DPC structure, right? So this is typically how they're laid out. There's one community co-chair, so one, non-officer co-chair. There's one officer co-chair, which is typically the commander. Most have treasurers and secretaries, so someone keeping the minutes and someone counting the money. All meetings are always open to the entire community. They're typically an hour and a half. They happen once a month. Like I said, per the consent decree, they have to happen quarterly. And then the community relations district reps help facilitate these meetings and push out resources and information. So these are the folks that are sending out the emails, pushing out the flyers, trying to invite folks to come. On this list, I have each district reps and their emails. So if you ever want to reach out to them personally or have questions about that specific district, you're more than welcome, and their contact is right there. So talking more about the CPC's responsibilities in terms of the consent decree, this is going to be paragraphs 23, 24, and 26. So working jointly with CDP, community relations, and the DPCs to facilitate regular communications and cooperation between CDP and community leaders. So really the CPC has to take responsibility in terms of engaging with stakeholders, engaging with the community, and making sure that we're putting out information and stuff like that. CPC, CDP, and CRB will develop a mechanism to recruit and expand the membership. And then we'll also be presented annually with findings and recommendations as we've done back. So I just wanted to put these on a separate slide so you all understood what the main responsibilities that falls onto the shoulders of the CPC is. And that's pretty much, again, it's really collaboration, making sure we're promoting, inviting folks to these meetings, bringing folks to these meetings, and of course that we are present at these meetings as well. This is the DPC report that the CPC put out back in 2021. And these are just some of the observations made at that report. Some of the observations are good, some maybe not so favorable. However, it is still good observations. So something that we can also help work towards. So the diversity of attendance, expanding the attendance. The CEOs appear to have a positive impact overall that on the DPCs, which are the community engagement officers. There's some lack in communication in terms of like the entities within the city. So meaning like the CPC talking with CRB or talking with, the Division of Police or Community Relations, trying to work more towards building that relationship amongst our entities. And then overall though, I would say currently, since this was published in 2021, the findings still might be similar, and the observations I have had are still similar, but I do think there is some growth. And I think that the DPCs, there is change wanted by the community members, and they do want to see an expansion of membership. They want to see younger folks involved. They really want to see more officers involved in terms of having really engaging events. And they definitely would like to see the CPC more involved as well. So then these are the next steps. How should the CPC interact and work with the DPCs going forward? Again, these are just what I believe are important. Of course, you do not have to listen to me, but I believe that we need to attend these monthly meetings as per the consent decree. They have them monthly. We need to have meetings with the co-chairs, commanders, and community relation reps to begin bridging the gap between our entities. We should be presenting at every DPC meeting if possible, whether it's a commissioner or staff member. So currently, when you go to a meeting, they'll have the commander report out, then they'll have the prosecutor's office, they'll have fire will report out, then they'll have, maybe building and housing, they'll have somebody from another entity report out. And I try to get onto the agendas as often as I can. But we should be a standing agenda item on each DPC's agenda or meeting. So that way we can discuss or answer questions about the CPC that folks may have. You may talk for 5 minutes one day, or you may talk for 10 minutes the next time, or 15. So either way, it's good to have us be there and have representation and speak with the community every month. And then we need to promote amongst the community and continue to spread the word of these meetings. So again, our presence being there, us bringing a friend, us sharing it on our social media, your own social media, if you're comfortable with that, and making sure that folks know about these meetings. Because again, that's a requirement, and we need to make sure we are amplifying and supporting these meetings and the community members that work very hard to host these meetings and do the work. So that is it for my presentation. I'm open for questions from the commissioners, if you have any more for me.
So the topics that each district has, will we get it before we attend the meeting so we can kind of, so what will we talk about?
Okay, so through the chair. So essentially there's no agenda previously sent out. You kind of see the agenda as you get there. They'll usually have a printed out agenda. And when I say what we would talk about, it could be whatever we want to talk about, whatever we want to present on. So like I know Lieutenant Norman from the Division of Fire, 1 month he'll talk about, I think it's called Operation Save a Life, which is the free smoke detectors that can be installed by the Division of Fire, right? Then the next month he'll say, hey, we have this charity event, and he'll discuss that and maybe the safety measures you should take as it's getting warmer outside or it's getting colder. So he usually provides updates on fires that have happened around the city, especially bigger ones. I know building and housing, they might talk about, different things going on there. Maybe some policies have changed or something like that. So really, as an entity that's presenting, you can present on whatever you deem to be appropriate. There's no set topic that each DPC has for the month. It's nothing like that. It's really just having resources out there for the community and making, providing updates as we continue every month. I hope that made sense.
But I just want to add, I would imagine that as we're building relationships, that if you were to reach out to the person that's in charge of creating that agenda, that they may be able to give you some type or build relationships with those co-chairs. They may be able to give you some insights on the issues that have been facing that community and things that they may be wanting to touch on during that meeting.
Absolutely. Like they could tell you like, hey, we would like the CPC to come present, but we want you to present on the drone policy, or we want you to discuss this because our community has a lot of questions about this. So I've talked with a lot of the co-chairs, every single co-chair, and they are not afraid to tell you what they would like for you to speak about. So they will tell you.
Thank you. I was gonna ask that. I also was gonna ask, are these the type of meetings or groups that we will go present our work groups at? Like, can we ask, looking for volunteers for the work groups within the community? to get
Absolutely, absolutely. So the whole point of our presence there is to get folks involved with us, just as involved with the DPCs. So if you all create a work group out of the outreach committee, definitely go to those district policing committees and say, hey, the CPC is starting this work group with this committee, or even if it's not outreach, it could be any committee. Definitely would say, if you're interested, please see me after this meeting. I can answer your questions on how to sign up, where to go, when meetings are, and all that. So I try to bring as much literature, flyers, and anything I can bring that's happening. So folks, those are definitely the folks you want to tap into to become part of those work groups, and maybe they have people in their lives that they could tell this to as well. So absolutely.
So out of curiosity, if, let's say I were to create an email to reach out to each of these chairs at once, like
Mhm.
with a list of questions I would want each of them to answer.
Mhm.
That's not breaking any laws in regard to like the Sunshine Law or public meetings, because their meetings are not required to be recorded or anything like that, right?
That would be a Jason question. No, I don't.
As long as it's not us.
Through the chair, you're good at that. You can send any inquiry you wanted to. Now, the question would be is, do you want to do it as a committee project, right? So if you guys agree on what the questionnaire should say, and then you can send it on behalf of the outreach committee, with my recommendation would be with a little introduction and say, we're tasked with merging with you to accomplish the goals of the consent decree. Would you, here's some questions that could help us figure this out, and then you could break into small groups and meet with the commander and the chair of that, individually. And and we have another expert here if he wanted to chime in. Charles C. has been going to the district policing committees for a decade now. So, Charles, do you have anything to add? Okay, all right.
And then just to clarify, the emails that are in this presentation are for the community relations district reps. If you wanted to get in contact with the civilian co-chairs of these DPCs, you would have to go through them and possibly the commanders, just because they have their information. But I also do know some of them. So if you want to get in contact with certain folks, maybe a certain district, I can probably get that for you as well. Any other questions from the commission? Well, thank you.
And Sam, I was going to say, maybe you can address the question that Ms. Debbie had.
Absolutely. Going back to the annual survey, when was the last time that was done? And when do you plan on doing the next one? And what does it entail?
Jason,
The survey
was it
was
2021?
2021 was the last time.
Okay, so
I think.
the last survey was done in 2021, and hopefully we can plan so that in 2026 we can get that next survey. You think in 2026?
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm thinking the next survey will be in 2026. So it'll probably, this is a new committee, so it'll probably take us time to find a firm to help us to figure out what that survey entails. And so it's basically what a community assessment of CPD. So that's what we're working on. So I'm thinking that survey will be out 2026.
Okay, and how will it get out?
We're not for sure yet. That's something that we'll work with the firm on to decide the different methods that will get that out.
how will the, residents find out?
We'll put out, I mean, we have a social media, we have, yeah, you can sign up for our emails, we'll send emails. But as I said, we'll work with that firm to discuss all of the methods that we can get the information out to the community. And I would just say, keep watching our outreach meetings, because we stream these on YouTube, and we all, you can also keep attending the meetings to find out more information. You can call our office. There's co-chair office hours Mondays from 4:30 to 5:30. So there's so many different ways you can contact us.
Do you remember any of the survey that was done the last time?
I wasn't here.
What it was about?
I wasn't here in 2021. So what we can do is, if you want additional information, I could work with the staff to get you that information.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I just need to correct something, Samantha.
Oh, apologies, yes.
You knew I had to. The community policing meetings are an hour. They're not an hour and a half. Sometimes they stick around for 30 minutes after, but I know for first we pay, the church wants their space, it's an hour. Just because you don't want someone to show up right at the end and they got 30 minutes and we be like, we got to go, we lock the door.
I definitely have to support what Sabrina mentioned in her public comments and all the questions already mentioned now. My involvement of consent decree is since like 2015. And I have been wondered why, after issue 24 passed, nobody actually reminded all the commissioners for the first 2 years, the 22 and the 23, that these meetings are very important to attend. Of course, it was already difficult to schedule all the current commissioners at that time for the existing meeting they had to attend here. But that was really our opportunity lost for CCPC to better connect it with the community to begin with. And for all the surveys, I would like to say, since I started to fill out the survey every year up to 2021, please remind the consulting firm, we definitely need lots of paper copies of it. And when the commissioner right now can go out, if you recheck how you should schedule all the meetings, when you can participate in all district committee meetings, you will be able to represent the entity to give out a survey there as well. Not only that, you can actually have other opportunities to have your presence at lots of other community events, and also even library and lots of other places you can distribute paper copies. Digital divide is still very true in Cleveland. So please do not give up paper copies of surveys. They are really important. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move forward to the new business portion of our meeting. So this is a time to, we've taken in a lot of information. This is the time to kind of bring some things to the table and discuss things that's on your mind and maybe projects you want to work on. I think maybe the first thing we can discuss is figuring out who could. So I was one of the people that assisted our previous commissioner, Kate Kennedy, with working on the survey project. That was, but because this committee is so small right now, we had 2 people from the committee working on the survey, but now because this is so small, 2 of you cannot serve on the work group to work on the survey. So I'll volunteer to continue helping and assisting to work on that. So out of the 3 of you, who would like to volunteer to work with me in moving this survey forward? Okay, so I have 2 people. Okay, so
I do have some recommendations for some people that we can reach out to in terms of finding a firm to push the work forward. It would be I would love to see if we can get it done before 26, by the end of the year.
Mhm.
I would love to see if we can be diligent enough to get it out,
Mhm.
and be getting responses
Mhm.
by
Mhm.
the new year 2026.
Thank you, Commissioner. I agree. I was thinking the same thing. Get this out at the end of the year.
Jason? You wanna say anything?
Just in case there's a question
Oh, okay.
about the process for how it goes, the bid and all that.
Okay. Well, I guess once we'll figure out a time that we can meet and you'll be present and we can move forward with that. And then as we work on it, we'll send it, emails out to keep you guys informed on what's going on. Okay, so the next thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would it be possible to get a copy of the 2021 survey so we kind of have an idea what it was
For
or
sure.
what it was about and some of the response that the community was asking or talking about?
I would also like to hear, at some point, Lou's recommendations, since she was so informative, involved with this committee and about the revamp and redesign of it, just to hear some of her
Mhm,
ideas as well.
That's fine. Okay, anything else about the survey? Okay, so we'll move on to the DPC meetings. I think that we need to figure out a way that we can attend those meetings. We need to figure out a way that we can become more involved. I would just say, in preparation for our May meeting, that we need to, just think about, brainstorm, think about some ideas. I'm thinking that maybe before each month, the committee could decide, which committee member will attend what DPC meeting each week. So maybe we can work with Samantha to determine a process for that, or if even that's the best process.
What district are each of us in? I'm in the 3rd.
I'm in the 5th.
Same.
Y'all both in the 5th?
So I'm thinking maybe Samantha, if you could help us develop a tool where we could figure out how the outreach committee could break it up, and even see if there's any other commissioners that want to be involved in attending, to kind of give us the break, and we could keep track of the rotation, and so maybe each commissioner will get a chance to go to a DPC meeting and be represented. Yeah, maybe a sign up sheet.
I was gonna ask if we could take this to the full commission meeting
Mhm.
and ask.
Or maybe, develop a process and take it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
fine. I got it.
Okay. Okay, and so we did mention, a community engagement plan. We didn't go really deep into that right now because that's a big job. And we didn't really kind of get into the details of that. We never completed one. So I'm thinking what we'll do is kind of have Sam look at the draft that was created by our former engagement staff member, tweak it, add to it as much as you like. Maybe have it sent out before the next outreach meeting, and then each outreach committee member add to it, talk to Sam.
I was just gonna ask,
Yeah.
how do we
Yeah, I would just
collaborate?
say talk to Sam about additions you would like to make, collaborate with her on changes you would like to make, things you would like to add. So then when we come to May's meeting, we could just start discussing and begin the discussion on a community engagement plan.
What is our, if there is any, what is our allowance in regard to social media? How are we allowed to use it? Are we allowed to create content? Are we?
Okay, through the chair, the way social media works is Jocelyn and Samantha are both persons who can use our official CPC account. Commissioners are a little bit different. So we're speaking with the organizational voice on the official CPC channels, right? Commissioners, chairs of committees, co-chairs, they can use their social media identities the same as any other government official does, right? Or create one as yourself as a government official. So a lot of the social media channels you can separate if you look at, for instance, a council person, right? There's a way to set yourself up as your personal page. And then when you become a government official, you can set up a separate account where you can speak as a government official. So some people use them interchangeably, some people separate them. So that's the personal level. In our strategy, yes, social media is important, right? So when we develop this plan that Sharina is discussing, we'll look at the current social media we're on, right? Try to do some analysis on what's working, what's not on it, right? Come up with a plan for how often we engage, how many times do we send emails. This is something where firms pay and companies pay, fortunes to bring in consultants in. We do have the capability to do this, especially if we bring in additional people from the community to assist us in building a plan. What are we doing? What aren't we doing? That's part of the survey that she's talking about, is asking, how would you like to be communicated with? In all my time here, social media, the highest hits we've ever got were when we repeated LeBron James wearing a Tamir Rice t-shirt. So you never know with the social media world. When we talk about us, it's not always as exciting. When we get involved in current events, using our influence into those, we seem to have better opportunities to share. So when we put we used it for social meeting postings. We do all of that stuff already, right? But if you look at our stuff, we hardly get any comments. We don't get a lot of likes or shares. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. It's all could be part of that plan, right? What do we like that we're doing? What isn't that we're doing? Where aren't we? We've talked extensively about we're creating a little video studio downstairs, right? The world is video based now, and they want those quick, shorts like the TikTok model and the Reels model. So we're putting a studio down. One of the better ways we can engage is through video. So after meetings, having quick interviews with commissioners, putting those on social media, about relevant topics. That is an area we're working on getting into now, and Jocelyn's setting that up downstairs so that we have a studio down there. So I know that was kind of a little bit all over the place, but yes, we have social media. We're on most of the major channels. We have to examine what's out there we're not on and how we engage with that and how well we're doing on what we're already on. And that comes into your strategy that this committee will develop in conjunction with the staff, right? So if you want to know more about social media, I would say set up an appointment with Jocelyn, come in, talk to her. What are we doing? We could go through it together. I'd be happy to be part of it too, as we build towards this plan. The idea is to really think it out, use our expertise, use our personal experiences. It's hit or miss how big of an impact our social media really has. So yeah, a lot of room for improvement there.
Okay, is there anything else? Oh, yeah, you could bring that up. Yeah.
Basically, I wanted to see when we would like to meet. Mondays is not good for me. I just took this Monday, but see what weeks off the month is good for everyone.
And normally it's like, the committee picks like a week out the month to meet recurring, right?
Yeah, but like when you're doing something like a strategic plan, you can meet more than that, until you have your plan done, depending on what your timeline is for, that you set for yourselves. There is no mandate to create a strategic plan for outreach, but it's helpful for continuity, right? If everyone has goals that we agree on, staff works towards those goals. So it just depends how soon you want to start it. A lot of orgs go with starting their strategic plan. So you may want to meet twice a month until it's done, or once a month. It's up to you, But sometimes planning can take up to 6 months, and then the plan can cover up to 2 years, right? So you could say if we get this done this year, then we start, 26 and 27, the rest of the term. You have a plan for all your goals you want to achieve, where you want to be, how many touches you want, what people you want to engage with the most. So it's up to you all how often you want to meet to get that done.
Well, I'll just say initially, developing a community engagement plan, even an outline or a draft, is no small feat. I want to give Sam enough time to work on it and get feedback. So I'm thinking at least a month. So maybe we met the second week of April. So maybe we can reconvene the second week of May. And then hopefully by then we can have a better idea of, our schedule and compared to like our other committees, because you would have had met in your other committees by then, and kind of have a feel of what day may work for us. Is that okay with everyone? The second week in May?
So the second week in May will be the next time we reconvene as this committee.
But that doesn't mean we can't do work. So you can still work on outreach projects behind the scenes.
So, well, we're not able to, so anything that we have input about or we want to discuss, we need to discuss through you because we can't discuss it with each
No,
other.
you can talk to other, I mean, you can't like do like a popcorn chain, but like if you wanted to discuss something with Commissioner Miller, you could reach out to her to discuss it, or if you want to discuss something with Commissioner Mason, you could reach out to her to discuss it. Yeah, just not like
I thought
all
we
of
couldn't
it.
have two because of the size of our.
The size is a challenge with this because there's technically only 3
Right,
members.
that
right
was my
now.
question.
So yeah, so you facilitating that would be a safe way to do it for the.
So they just reach out to
Yeah,
me and
'cause
I
if you
kinda
start
go
an
to
email
other people.
chain and you're talking in depth about committee business and there's 2 out of 3 of you, then technically
Yeah,
you're
not
having
in
a
depth.
quorum meeting.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so yes, through staff, right? So that's the other way. Like
And that's what I think is
Samantha
best to
is
work
the
through
main-
staff.
so she's if you each, coordinate this as best you can. So now we have the survey, right? The 2 of you can talk about the survey. You get updates from the staff on the survey, right? So that's an example of how the survey
And I'll
will
give
move
you,
forward.
I'll send information about that.
Right.
They
And
just don't communicate in the thread when I send the things out.
I was like, don't reply.
And three committees are a little bit of a challenge like that. 3-person
is.
committees, it makes it a little bit of a challenge. But as we add 2 more commissioners, I don't think we're gonna have that problem very long.
And
So-
I was under the impression, if it's just like general, just catching up, if it's like in-depth work, no, but if it's just like, what are we doing or where are you at, it's okay. And we can talk, about, any concern you have. So if you do have a concern, I would just say immediately reach out to myself or Samantha. So what day, I'm looking at the second week in May, what day do it work for you guys? Do we have anything, Jason?
Shereen's actually great. Shereen, there's a second district meeting on the 13th. So maybe don't look at the Tuesday.
So when the second week be the week of the 5th?
Oh, you're right. The first starts on a Thursday.
What day?
My grand opening for the restaurant is May 16th.
So
do 1 hour?
I mean,
the second week of May is,
No,
well,
Oh.
May starts on
y'all said
Thursday, but that's
yeah.
technically not a
oh, but that's not the full
full
week.
week,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, she said she's gonna do it on Monday, so I was looking at
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay, so that's Tuesday the 13th?
No.
No.
Okay.
I'll do the Monday,
Would you guys be okay with the first week?
Yeah,
the 6th.
Tuesday the 6th? That's a
Do we
good
have
day.
anything? Tuesday the
Anything?
6th, Jason?
No, we should be okay.
May I ask a question in regard to another committee?
Yeah.
Is the date April 16th, is that official for accountability?
I have not heard an accountability committee being scheduled yet, so let me get back to you on that. Let me go back through my
She
email.
sent it out.
Was that Adriana said that, or who sent that?
Benito,
Yeah, Benita.
but I didn't get a calendar invite for it.
Because I probably,
Oh, I didn't.
let's see here. It's the 6th.
So are we gonna say the second Tuesday of every month?
I wouldn't say it yet.
Okay, so just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, even May 6th is not really the second Tuesday.
Yeah, we changed
Yeah,
it.
technically it's the first Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we changed it.
Yeah, we know.
So we will use the first Tuesday?
Yeah, we've decided to use the first.
That's what I was at. Because the second is not good for her.
Not that month.
Is that
So-
the first Tuesday of every month?
Not
No.
yet.
We
We're
haven't
just-
decided
We
that.
can
As
work
of
with our
now,
schedules at
yeah.
this
Just for
time.
the next meeting?
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Yes.
We have a busy commissioner.
And what was that date?
It's also 6 to 8.
Yes,
Sorry.
6 to 8.
Oh, 6 to 8, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So the next meeting date was when?
May
The
6th.
6.
6th. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next meeting date will be May the 6th at 2025 from 6 to 8 p.m. Is there anything else? With that being said, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you for putting that on.
What do we want?
So I do not set up.
Chair.